podcast. My name is Mario, and this week I'm joined by my co hosts.
Brian?
And Kirsten.
So, we're going to be sitting around the campfire this week and telling some spooky Disney ghost stories. First, as always, let's dive into the news and talk about some stuff that's happening at Walt Disney World. So, first thing that we got on this list is that there will not be a nighttime parade in time for the 50th. I know a lot of people have been kind of speculating on what we were going to get. And I think at this point it should be very clear that we are not getting anything.
That's a nice way to put it.
I mean, like, this should have been obvious from the start, though, right? Like, what would they do? Throw another nighttime parade together? And we knew Spectrum Magic wasn't coming back.
Yeah, that is like the biggest travesty. Like, Spectra was my favorite. I'm still mad about that. I can't believe that they let that happen. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like we need Paint the Night. I mean, Disneyland has had it forever now, so why can't we just get a duplicate? You know, I mean, if they wanted to be really lazy, that would be the way to go, but they're not even going for really lazy.
Yeah.
It makes me mad. Like, we need a nighttime parade. That's one of the things that is special about Disney.
Mm-hmm. It just feels so. There's something missing at night. I don't know. It's sad that they've come out, and said this. There's not even like a glimmer of hope of something coming back soon. So I don't know.
At this point, I would not hold my breath for a nighttime parade in the Magic Kingdom for a long time. Like, I don't know. I feel like with how Happily Ever After is so central on like having to see it from the front side of the park, it's a little bit harder for them to do that because crowds for that form so early on that they would have to rope off the parade routes, and that would stop people from getting in those spots early. And I just think that we're at a point now where we're not going to see that happen.
You know what would solve that problem?
Taking away Happily Ever After.
Bring back wishes. Yes. But I mean, that is a good point as to like why it doesn't make sense. But I don't know. This combined, well, I'll wait till we talk about the next topic because I feel like they kind of go hand in hand partially. In some
Yeah. Well, I mean, I can definitely see that because this is also nighttime entertainment news. Rivers of Light is getting an update. I think we may have touched on this already, but We Are One Rivers of Light We Are One is set to debut May 24th at Disney's Animal Kingdom. If we didn't, I honestly can't remember if we did or not. Basically, what they're doing is they're refreshing the show to put in some Disney nature clips as well as some animal animated characters. Not only is the imagery being updated, but we're also getting a new score with it as well. This one I'm like cautiously optimistic about.
Well, for the picture and it makes it look like it's the Lion King too, like from the new movie, you know, the live action Lion King.
It could be.
Yeah, I can't tell if it's that or one of the Disney nature
Yeah,
movies.
I couldn't tell either. But the fact that the boat in front has the same shot as like the animated Lion King is what made me think that. But I guess this combined with the last thing, I feel like all of these new shows that rely more on, you know, video and that sort of thing, it's making it easier to not really innovate because they can just, you know, quote unquote refresh every year or whatever, and they're not really having to put as much effort into what it would, you know, designing a whole new show with like, I don't know, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, like instead of getting new,
not bringing out a new nighttime parade is kind of like they can just coast and, you know, make some changes to Happily Ever After and spin it as like brand new, you know, new and improved, whatever. And like, how long are they going to do that?
Well, I think that also was part of the plan for the 50th, was that Happily Ever After was supposed to get a refresh right around the time that we're supposed to hear about like some of the offerings they're going to have. And I kind of agree with that, but I also feel like that's a good thing too. Like it's weird because it's got like so many negatives, like you just said, but at the same time, it's kind of cool because you could go see Happily Ever After this year, or you could go see Rivers of Light before it goes away, and then come back and see a whole nother show. But that's just the weird, like, I don't know. There is a major downside to it because it's not as new as, like, if they just put in a new fireworks show with different effects and different scores and stuff. It doesn't feel as new because it's still the same concept.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say I feel like when they find something good with this new stuff, they don't like. How long did we have wishes? We had wishes for years. Like what? 16 years.
Had
Because
to
they
be.
found something good and they stuck with it. And I feel like part of the thing about being a big Disney fan is like once you find something you love, you sort of have this nostalgia attached to it. So I remember when they did The Magic, the Memories, and You, which was the very first, animation show on the castle. It started when I started my program, January 2011. And I just remember like getting so attached to that. And then they changed it in like 6 months. And like you can't find that song anywhere or whatever. And so I feel like there's also this problem of like even if they find something good, they don't stick with it like they could, I guess, because they're like it's so easy to just change it. And so we're getting like a lot of mediocre stuff, mixed in, or like some really, really good stuff mixed in with a lot of mediocre, but they don't differentiate between them.
I get that. I definitely think that you are right in that sense. But my big optimism that I kind of want to talk about for a second with this is Rivers of Light has this problem where it's not very good to begin with. So any refresh or update that it gets, I think is very welcome.
Yeah, that's true. I haven't seen Rivers of Light, so I like hear it's bad, but I can't like give my own opinion.
It's not great. That's what I'm gonna say. I think what?
Oh, I was gonna say, can we talk about how BS this promotional picture is too? The projection looks nowhere near that good on the water, and that is the biggest issue with this show.
Not the same as watching a movie on a regular.
It is so not even in the same ballpark. This is the most Photoshopped thing I've ever seen before. And honestly, it doesn't really look that Photoshopped, but I know because I've seen Rivers of Light.
That's also a good point because I see that and I'm like, well, it looks cool, but it probably doesn't actually look near that cool in real life.
Yeah. I don't know. I want to believe that this is going to be.
I think kind of long term, one thing that I don't think they do as much as they used to is if something didn't work, I feel like in the past they would say, you know what, this isn't working. Let's wash our hands of it and start all over. But now it's like you don't want to kill the whole budget. So what kind of fix can we do? How can we make this fit? How can we make it work? Which, is better for the bottom line. But in the end, I think what made Disney stand out at the beginning was their willingness to say, hey, this isn't as good as it should be. Let's just redo it. Let's start from the ground up.
I'm thinking that this show just has too much money dumped into it already that they're just not willing to let it go.
Yeah, I mean, and that's what I think too is, because like the water projections, what I've heard as to why they're not as good is because the water, is just murkier because it's more of like a natural kind of water than Fantasmic, that pond or whatever you want to call it, man-made pond. Not that the Animal Kingdom one isn't man-made, but that it's got, plant life and that sort of thing in there, whereas the Fantasmic one doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Well, one thing too I know just from seeing it a couple times is that the weather plays such a huge role in it. Like if it's windy or the middle of the water spray kind of comes across, like it will break it up and distort it so it looks, the projection looks even worse. So it's, I don't know, it's it's a really, really, really cool concept, and like if it worked, it would be amazing. But it just, from what I've seen, it just doesn't work very well.
Well, and that's kind of the funny thing with it too is this technology has been around for how long because they use it in Phantasmic, and it's never been great there. Like I don't think I've noticed much of a difference between the two, and I've still said like Phantasmic's water projections are not very good either.
But they're not the main focus of Phantasmic either.
That's true.
Yeah.
And they're not on the same scale. So, I feel like when this is the thing that you were supposed to be looking at during the show and it doesn't work, like, yes, you've sunk money into it, but it just doesn't work. You got to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, that's very true. I will definitely give you that. But they've also like this show started at such a high expectation to begin with. Because I remember when they first announced this and they were like, oh yeah, this is going to be the new nighttime show for Animal Kingdom. Everyone's going to love it. It's going to be great. And then like they slowly started chipping away at things because like the floats didn't work at first. And then they pulled the live actors and they changed all that. Like there's so much about this show that they've been slowly chipping away at that I think at this point, like Kirsten said, wouldn't you just say it's done? Like we failed here.
Yeah.
And
I wish they would admit their failures. But you know what also sounds kind of like that? People with kites on jet skis.
Here's the thing. In my opinion, Animal Kingdom does not have to have a nighttime show.
Agreed.
If it's not going to work out, obviously they don't want to do fireworks, and that makes a lot of sense. And I know they're trying to get people to stick around later in the parks. They're trying, they've done a good job at making Animal Kingdom a full day park, but I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's easy. I think honestly, it would be easier to just call the whole thing off and not have a nighttime show anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know. And they keep adding like there's like 5 now at Hollywood Studios. So
don't even get me started on Hollywood Studios and the whole half day park thing because I have been trying not to go on this tirade with the whole Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway thing. But the other thing with it too, like they have the Tree of Life Awakening. I think that is a good enough nighttime show and a better representation of Animal Kingdom than anything else that they could put in there. Like it's not a big like draw in show, but that is enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. Maybe we should take these ideas to Joe Rohde. He's pretty active on Instagram. They could also do something at Downtown Disney. I mean, I know that that's free. But if they really wanted to get people out of the park, like clear some space from the Magic Kingdom or whatever. I mean, hey, shoot some fireworks off the Grapefruit Garage, like.
Yeah.
Grapefruit Garage forever. So the other thing with that is too, like they did that before. They did the Christmas drone show there and they tested it out, but then like that was the last thing that they did, and that was not great.
Yeah.
I think that would make more sense having a nighttime show there than 3 at Hollywood Studios and Rivers of Light.
Yeah.
All right, so to a more positive news story. I don't remember if we touched on this, but there was originally a thing going around saying that Disney was going to be doing away with extra magic hours in the Magic Kingdom. It was largely due to the fact that they were running a lot of events in the time period that the extra magic hours had come out, but it looks like that rumor has been a little bit debunked as Disney has started to add back extra magic hours in November. So it looks like they were just out for like September, October for the overlapping Christmas and Villains, or not Christmas, Not So Scary and Villains events. And it looks like they're coming back. So that's good.
Yeah, they would have had a riot on their hands, I think.
Yeah. And this just kind of confirms for me that Disney, they might not exactly put, the false information out there, but they certainly don't, try to say that it's not true. I think this was in a lot of ways like Disney kind of testing the waters to see how it
Mhm.
was gonna go, and people reacted really, really negatively, and they backed off of it. So I think it's just kind of just like, for me, the next time I hear something like this and I really don't agree with it, I'm just gonna try to think, hey, remember last time? Remember the time before that? Like, it seems like they've been doing this more and more lately.
Yeah,
Well,
like, I remember whenever they had the survey, the ones that you can take as you're leaving the parks, and they started asking about resort fees, and there was a similar, backlash, and they don't have those yet, But I definitely think they were testing it for a while. I mean, same thing with parking, which I think is absolutely absurd to charge for parking in a place that there's literally no way you could possibly park in a public place. It's not like you're going to a hotel that's in a downtown area and it would just suck to find parking. Like,
Yeah.
you can't park somewhere for free and walk there. I think that's just taking advantage.
well, and like you said, they've always kind of done stuff like this. I think now this is kind of cool because it puts it out there that Disney does listen in some way. And even if it's not really always the way we want them to, like, originally they did these resort surveys, like you were saying, and they had their results out there like that. But the idea of them rolling something back kind of subtly in a way, like they didn't make an announcement about it. It was put out on their website that there were no extra magic hours listed for those 2 months, and a lot of people weren't happy about that. And I'm sure Disney heard it through emails. I'm sure they got it on like their social media accounts and everything, because I saw it everywhere. Um, and that just proves that they are in some way paying attention. So that's kind of cool. But at the same time, I think that them rolling back any of these offerings is just gonna really hurt the like the resort capacity, but not the park capacity. Like, it's not even capacity. It's gonna hurt how full their resorts get, because if they pull back one of the best options for a on property visit, like, what's the point in staying on property anymore?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, we definitely talked about it and we're like, you could rent a house, and have more space. And I mean, with a kid, that's really convenient and it's just insane. But I was going to say something, but now I can't remember because I'm old. Oh, well, it'll come to me maybe. Oh, I was going to say, for people listening, if there is something you don't like, I would highly recommend that you write Disney an email. They do read them. They have a lot of interns that read those. They do reply. They will call you to talk about it. I mean, I don't think it really makes one person, doesn't make a big difference in the long run. But if everybody does it and if everybody really did, like, I've emailed them before very unhappily. I think it was sometime last year. What happened last year that was like the paying for fast passes. People at deluxe resorts can pay for the extra fast passes or whatever. Yeah, I wrote them an email and I kind of just went all off on them. And they did respond, and they called me and, did it change anything? Like, no, but if more people did it, then it might.
Mhm.
Well, that's kind of like I was talking about this when we were doing my trip report. I had an issue at Via Napoli, and all I did
What kind
was,
of issue could you have there?
oh gosh,
I'm
okay,
sorry, the
no,
waiters aren't hot enough for you.
no, no, no. Okay, I'm gonna cut all of this out right now because I have to go over this with you. It was bad. Um, so when we first got there, the first thing I thought to do was I was gonna try to take a picture of a waiter for you, but I couldn't easily do that, so that didn't happen. But the short of the story is that we ended up waiting an hour and 15 minutes just to get seated. Um, we got seated. Our waitress brought us a personal pizza instead of a regular size pizza.
Oh my god.
Oh, before that, when we questioned them on why we weren't seated yet, they told us they must have just forgotten us.
Did you have a reservation?
No, but we walked up and they told us it was only going to be 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
And what happened was they write your name down on a piece of paper and then they give it to the people inside and they'll like mix them in with the people that have reservations.
Okay.
So ours got stuck to the back of someone else's. And like, I would have been okay with it if they didn't say we forgot you. But then we got in, we sat down, our waitress took our order, gave us a personal pizza instead of the regular pizza. We saw her maybe once outside of when she took our order, and where they seated us, it was like right next to the giant windows outside, like on the little patio area behind the big bushes. And there was only really enough room for like one person to walk by at a time. And right as we were getting ready to leave, one of the waiters walked by. His shirt got caught on the glass, and he threw a dessert plate up, and it landed on my foot and shattered everywhere. Yeah, that's the short of this story. But basically, we had an issue at Via Napoli, and I had said something about, I can't remember if I like tweeted about it or I because I was really upset about the whole thing that happened. And immediately someone from Disney's social reached out to me and was like, hey, send me an email with a full description of what happened. I did. And then within 5 minutes of me sending it, they called us and wanted us to go to guest relations. And I was like, listen, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I mean, I'm upset about it, but like, it's really not that big of a deal. I got my pizza. I'm okay.
It's cool that they would, take the time though to actually like respond and, that quickly and try to make amends, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like like you said, Kirsten, they listen. There's people that is their entire job, is to sit in an office and read those emails. So I guess it's nice to know that someone out there is listening.
Yeah. So yeah, everybody email them about all these terrible things, and maybe they'll change. Tell them you think Bob Iger gets paid too much.
I mean, that won't matter in a couple of years, hopefully.
Please go. Didn't he already do this? Like,
he did, and then he said he was going to stay on a couple of years because of the Fox merger, and then the Fox merger happened and like finally got settled, and he was like, yeah, in 2021, I'm retiring now.
That'll be the best birthday / 50th anniversary present ever.
And the question is, who is going to replace him?
I don't know. Meg Crofton. I like her. Anyway.
Okay, so let's dive into our topic this week as we talk about some of the ghost stories around Disney parks. I don't think this was one that was recommended to us. Maybe it was. We just decided it would be fun to tell some ghost stories this week about Disney parks, the happiest place on earth. Yeah, so I guess we can dive into this. The first one that we had on the list, I put this on here. And I think this is a pretty common one. I'm sure most people in the Disney fan community have heard of George, the ghost that haunts the Florida version of the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, that's the only one I know.
Yeah, that was like the big one, and I think that's kind of what started this discussion, but there's a lot. Like, just looking at this list, there's a whole bunch here. But apparently the legend of George is that it can be told a couple different ways. One of them is that George was a welder who was killed in an accident. But the accident is what differs. Is some people say that he was crushed by a falling beam. Others say that he fell in the like Burning City portion of the ride. And ever since then, he's like haunted the attraction. All he really wants is respect, though. So if you say that you don't believe in him, presumably the ride will actually break down and you'll have issues while you're on the ride. A lot of the cast members supposedly say good morning and good night to him, and if they don't, it apparently causes issues as well. Yeah, that is the legend of George. This is one that you guys have heard, right? I mean, I know Kirsten said she has.
Mhm.
I heard that when I was working there, but that's really the only one I've ever heard. Sadly, I never knew anyone who worked there, so I couldn't ask.
Oh darn! That was going to be my next question.
No, I wish, but no.
Yeah, if anybody that listens to this actually knows anyone that works at Pirates, like I would be interested to see if this is a thing that like most cast members do.
Yeah,
like,
me
what
too.
the ratio is there.
It would make me scared to work on Pirates, honestly.
Really?
I'm
Are
okay
you
with that.
superstitious?
No, I'm just very, very scared of everything.
So now when we go through these, you're not going to be able to ride any of these attractions anymore.
I mean, honestly, before I went on the Haunted Mansion tour, the backstage tour, when I worked there, I hated Haunted Mansion because it freaked me out and made me kind of scared. Yeah.
Huh.
I could imagine pirates being kind of creepy too.
Yeah. I'm a chicken.
This one on here is actually Disneyland, but I guess we could talk about that too. There's another ghost called Dolly that haunts the Matterhorn, apparently. There's an urban legend that originates from like a really sad story about a lady named Regina Young that died in 1984 when she fell from her seat while riding the Matterhorn. She was struck by another oncoming bobsled. Her seatbelt was unbuckled, and they don't know whether she undid it herself or if it was the result of something else. The legend is that some cast members will feel someone watching them when they do their walkthroughs of their ride, and the section of the track that she died on, they refer to it as Dolly's Dip. I don't know if that's like an
that
actual
sounds familiar
thing.
now. I have heard about the woman who died, but I didn't know the actual ghost story part of it.
A lot of these seem just like not. I don't want to say goofy, but like I don't know. I'm not a big believer of ghost stories as it is, so some of these are just like okay.
Oh, I think they're like probably totally ridiculous and not really true, but yeah.
Some of these, like when I was trying to find stuff to put in here, some of them linked me to the subreddit No Sleep, which that was
God.
a very fun
Ooh.
place to be.
I can't read that place.
But
I feel like people who make up some of these are the same people who like made up the whole thing about Walt's frozen head, you know? Like, nice creativity, but
speaking of creativity, the Haunted Mansion has a lot of suspected ghosts because everyone says that this is the best place to dump your ashes, and I find that very disturbing.
okay, that is true. I heard about that when I went on the tour, is that and it's common all throughout Disney. Like people, I remember one time that pirates got stopped because somebody was dumping ashes in the water. It's not an uncommon thing. Honestly, that's kind of what I want to happen to my ashes, but I have a plan. And I would never just dump them in the parks or in the water because that gets drained all the time. And they clean the floors, like the ground every night with like those buffer thingies. So you're just going to get vacuumed up at the end of the day. Not a good idea. You need to find a more permanent location.
Kirsten's thought this out.
Oh, I have a plan. I have it written out in case I die.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, I didn't grow up in any one place. I don't have a home. Disney is my home. So yeah. But anyway, no, that is true about the ashes thing. Yeah, which is gross.
That doesn't surprise me, but it's like, come on. Why here?
I don't know. People aren't creative.
I guess that's true. But this first one, I guess, is more of like an urban legend rather than a ghost story. But apparently there was a myth a while back that the seance book that is in the seance scene with Madame Leota is actually a spell book. And it apparently, back in the 60s, there was a sound designer that was working on one of the scenes in that, or he's working on the scene in that room, and he heard a sound that he thought was just like a speaker that was gone like off the wall, and he tried to find it but couldn't find the source of the sound. Eventually they pointed it to the book, which then they learned that it was real, and they haven't, or no one knows what they did with it. But that's a little far-fetched for me.
Yeah, I feel like they, we all know they were like working overtime and everything trying to get this thing wrapped up. It probably, this engineer working a bunch of sleepless nights trying to get things dialed in has just kind of started hearing things.
Yeah. And I've told y'all about the knocking thing, right?
No.
From my
maybe.
tour. It's like the one it's not creepy really, it's just like strange is when the knocking in the hallway with all the doors and stuff never goes off.
Really?
Yeah, it's they're like just little mechanical pins, kind of like a deadbolt, you know, that would come out, and so they push out the knocker and then it falls back, and that's how it works. And so they're not attached to any electrical system, or I don't know if they're battery operated or what, but they never turn off. So like whenever they're cleaning, and like for example when we were on the tour and we were walking through the hallway, it's just like knocking the whole time. Very irritating and kind of creepy.
Yeah, that would freak me out big
Yeah.
time. Another one with the Haunted Mansion is that a couple cast members have reported that when they were working alone, they've seen a man with a cane riding the attraction late at night. When he's spoken to, he doesn't respond and then disappears. Some people say that this is a ghost of a pilot that died when his plane crashed in the 1940s into what's now Bay Lake. There's a lot of these, like, people are alone, they saw someone riding the attraction by themselves, and it's a ghost.
Yeah, is it possible this was just an old man that was kind of hard of hearing?
But I have a question here. Is Bay Lake man-made?
It
No, it's not.
was.
Seven Seas Lagoon was, right, but Bay Lake's not.
Oh
right?
yeah, you're right.
Okay, because I was going to say that would not make sense. Anyway,
Yeah, I don't know. And another one that's rumored for the Haunted Mansion, which kind of is similar. This is the Disney World version of it, because apparently there's a little boy that haunts the Disneyland version. This little child apparently appears like he's peering out of a doom buggy and looking back at you.
Oh, that's creepy.
If you look at the link that's in here, like there's really nothing big on that one. Oh shoot, no, this isn't the right one. But there's a bunch of pictures of the little boy, and I'll find it somewhere. If you want to grab one of yours, Brian.
Let's see. I guess one of the more famous ones around the parks is Disco Debbie at Disneyland. Is rumored to haunt their version of Space Mountain, and she is described as a glowing green ghost who will appear inside the ride. And it's supposedly the ghost of a former cast member who died of a brain aneurysm behind the Space Mountain building and whose soul is now forever tied to the attraction.
man, when I die, I hope my soul isn't tied to the ticket booth.
Oh, what
Yeah.
a place.
With my luck, I'm going to end up dying the one time I ride Journey into Imagination again and then just be stuck there.
All right, I found it. It's apparently it's in the Bustle article, the first one that's on the show notes. If you scroll down to number 4, it literally looks like someone photoshopped a kid in this picture.
Yeah, it kind of does. This could also very well just be an actual kid turning around on the attraction.
Oh, yeah. I feel like a lot of these like urban legend things come from Disneyland too. And I don't know if that's because like it's an older park, but another one that originates from there is the Grad Night Ghost. Apparently there was a teenage boy named Thomas Cleveland that attempted to climb the monorail tracks in 1966, and there have been reports of like people seeing a ghost walking towards the monorail and walking like into the part of the track that he got hit on. Don't do stupid things in the park, people. Your ghost will haunt it forever. And while that sounds fun,
It won't be.
I feel like, I don't know, I feel like that would be like the worst place to get trapped as a ghost. Like, yeah, there's all this stuff going on, but like at the same time, what if you got
just want to relax?
not get hit by the monorail 60 times a day? Oh. Did you want to save this next one for last, Brian?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that would be best.
All right, and then we could talk about this one that is so ridiculous. So while I was looking for more stuff to put in here about ghost sightings at the Disney parks, one of the articles I came across said that It's a Small World apparently is haunted, or there was some kind of like urban legend that happened here too. And their source was an Imgur account, which is that site that everyone posts pictures to post on Reddit or have like their memes somewhere. That is the source that they used for this, so this is going to be an interesting one. And they said that a 12-year-old guest was visiting Disneyland with her family. They were enjoying It's a Small World when the ride stopped, the lights came on, and a cast member helped guests get off the ride. On the way out, the guest's mother snapped a few behind-the-scenes photos to finish off the camera roll. Outside, there was an ambulance and a police car, and when the family developed the film later that day, the last photo on the roll appeared to be a figure hanging from the ceiling. A child, an animatronic, a cast member, who knows what it could have been.
You know, it's those dang animatronics, those clowns that are hanging from the ropes. Like, hello. Like, you know, the ones I'm talking about, the old ones.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Like, come on, people. Get real. It's like the Wizard of Oz thing, like the urban legend that there's one of the actors in the background hanging themselves in one of the scenes.
Oh, yeah.
No, there's not. It's a bird. Like, anyway.
So another one, apparently, in 1973, I know at least this story and the death is real because I know we've gone over some of these before, but in 73, two brothers tried to spend the night on Tom Sawyer Island and stay without getting caught. And while trying to swim across the water, one of them ended up drowning. And to this day, apparently, late at night, one of their ghosts haunts Tom Sawyer Island, which seems especially creepy.
You should try and stay overnight and see if it's true.
I still want to do it, and this, I don't know if this like deters me or makes me want to do it even more.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, I don't know. I would not like to stay overnight on Tom Sawyer Island.
Snakes, apparently.
Oh yeah, it is. Here. I've run across multiple snakes.
I know. That's awful.
It comes with the territory. So are we ready for the last one?
Sure.
So apparently, this one might be the most far-fetched of them all, but apparently Walt's ghost is said to haunt the Main Street Fire Station in Disneyland. So as a lot of people know, the fire station at Disneyland was where Walt's in-park apartment was that he had set up that him and his family could stay in. And essentially, right after Walt's death, allegedly a cleaning woman was cleaning out the apartment and noticed that the lamp was lit. And Walt used to leave the lamp on to like denote that he was there. So anyways, the cleaning lady goes in, turns it off and leaves. And as she turns around, she sees that the lamp is still on. So she thinks she probably forgot to turn it off, goes back inside, and turns the light off again, walks back out again, and sees again it is lit. And so that was the main thing that I guess started this off. But apparently, other people have said that they hear knocking and footsteps coming from the fire station department at night, and this has kind of further led to this urban legend.
I don't know. I find that kind of comforting.
Yeah, in a way, I guess.
I'd be happier if he haunted Bob Iger, though.
Just trying to get him out of office.
Yep.
So, overall, which one of these do you think is the most plausible?
I mean, I'm going to say Walt just because it makes me feel the best.
Out of all of them, probably none of them, but I like the Walt one.
I also like the George one, and that one has been around for a really long time, and it is very popular. So, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
I think the thing about both of those is that they're like, they've kept like a superstition kind of thing. Like, you know, that is, from my understanding, like tradition with cast members to say good night and good morning to George, but I don't know if that's like an actual thing because we don't know cast members. And at the same time, like the Walt's apartment thing, like you hear that all the time. I feel like these other ones are kind of just like,
that small
So-
world thing is just ridiculous.
I found the picture of it. It's really funny. Let me go find it for you. Okay, it's gonna take me a minute to find this. Oh no, there it is. It's so ridiculous, and like,
You should post it on our Facebook page when this comes out.
there we go. No, I'll post it on our Facebook page now, and everyone's gonna be like, "Are you okay?" I'll post it there now and be like, "Listen to next week's episode to hear why I'm posting this now."
Yes.
But yeah, I think I like the Walt one, and I like the George one.
Yeah, I think the George one's my favorite.
Yeah. So, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with ghost stories, or do you want to wrap this up early this week? This was a fairly short episode.
Did you record the whole thing?
I did.
Okay, good, because I just realized that my GarageBand shut off at 1 minute.
Yep, I recorded the whole thing.
I'm pretty sure you got me saying I'm recording, and that's all.
I always record the Hangouts call where I try to, so at least we got that.
I have no idea. Wow, it stopped. Now I'm mad.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully it's okay.
It should be. I mean, it says it's recording. So
It's
I think-
totally one of those stupid big animatronics.
I like the fact that it's like clearly that, because just the way that the hands are, like you could tell that is not someone hanging from the ceiling. That is most definitely a doll. The Haunted Mansion hanging thing is more believable than that.
I think a much more plausible haunting of It's a Small World is the hippo, and that's why its eyes so messed up.
Oh, you know, that's one place I would not like my ghost to haunt. Like that's
Oh, man.
internal. Like that's
That's
What,
it,
Small
yeah.
World? But
yeah,
wouldn't it be fun to freak out people?
yeah. But you have to
Yeah,
go
Every-
to Small World all day.
Not at
every
night.
day. I
Maybe
guess.
we could leave and go to Pinocchio's village house.
Here's a question. If you guys got stuck in a Disney park and you were haunting one location for the rest of eternity, where would you like to be?
Mm.
I feel like
That's
the
a
Haunted
good one.
Mansion's probably a safe
I'll give you
bet.
one guess.
I don't know. honestly.
Tower.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
You know,
yeah.
Tower and Haunted Mansion would be good ones because, like, I mean, I feel like there's got to be more ghosts there.
Tower. So I'll tell you, the first time I ever went to Disney World when I was in ninth grade, we had one day our MGM day, and it rained, and so a ton of people left, and we rode Tower of Terror. I don't know, 6 times in a row, like just back to back to back. And the last time I finally got freaked out and I was like, I can't ride anymore because something about the ride was different. And I know obviously it's randomized how it goes, but I can't remember what it was that happened that time that, hadn't happened the time before. But I remember I was freaked out. I was freaked out enough to be like, okay, I'm done. I'm not riding this again, even though like I love Tower of Terror. So yeah, I think it has some freaky things too.
I feel like you would be able to like spook people on Tower of
Oh,
Terror
totally.
and Haunted Mansion too. Like that's half the fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about you, Brian? You have a
Ooh.
place you'd like to haunt?
Is this like?
Creepy room.
Yeah. Do I get
Country
more?
bears.
Is this for me to enjoy, like getting to see the attraction over and over again, or is this more about who I get to freak out?
Either. I mean, if you feel like you would be like,
What would make you happier eternally?
yeah,
Ooh. It's almost like I want to be on like a not scary dark ride so I could scare people when they're least expecting it. Like something like Peter Pan, just like they never see it coming.
That's dark. I like it.
oh boy, that's interesting.
What about you, Mario?
I would probably go Haunted Mansion, but at the same time, if I can't pick that, I don't know. I mean, like, part of me wants to say go with like Tom Sawyer Island or like someplace that I would be able to just like scare people at easier. Like Tom Sawyer Island's kind of cool because if you were a ghost and you were trying to freak people out, like they can't really run that far. You have to wait for the boat to come back.
Y'all are like sadistic.
You're just not being a very good ghost, Kirsten.
I'm thinking about my enjoyment. What will
See, I
keep me
feel
happy
like
for thousands of years.
Tower of Terror is like already so scary. It's like the people are like they're not gonna be focusing on you. They're gonna be scared because the ride's scary.
But I'd get to ride it all day long, every day.
That's a good plus.
Yeah, that's just like the extra added bonus to it. But then, like, I mean, Splash Mountain might be cool too because there's some creepy animatronics on there. Like,
Ooh, like especially like the laughing place scene. That'd be a good
Oh.
one. Like right before you go up and the vultures are sitting there. That'd be a good place.
now if you can like take over the animatronics and you start like possessing the vultures,
Ooh, that's good.
that adds a whole nother layer to this. I don't think we're ready to get into.
I think you should write a story for No Sleep.
Yeah, there you go. That can be the way that we close this episode out this week. If any of our listeners want to tell us where they would haunt as a ghost in Walt Disney World,
Yes.
feel free to write to us because I'm interested.
And give us your reasoning.
Yes. Oh boy. Well, I'm going to stop recording.